Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very well. I am not. Just popping in here before the video starts. I do have a second channel and I really want to post other content on there at different times. So I will leave the link for that down below. If you need a break from Pretty Little Liars stuff but you still want some other content, I am planning to do some stuff there. Make sure to go check that out and yeah. Bye guys. I have COVID. Yeah. In 2025. That's very embarrassing. That is so embarrassing, actually. I won't lie. Uh, it's taking me. Yeah. It's very heavy. Yeah. I've been deathly sick for like a week. I've not left the house in a week. I am so ill. It's actually crazy. We had to call the paramedics the other day. It was a lot. I've had a little burst of energy today because I go back to work tomorrow and I'm like, I can't just be in bed all day today. I gotta do stuff. So we're gonna sit down, we're gonna film. 2024 was a rough year. 2025, she's even been rougher. So we will go again next year. This year's done. Today we're going to be talking about my arch nemesis, Peter Hastings, because I think Peter Hastings is actually the devil of the show. There's a few people in the show that I personally think are kind of like the hidden villains of the show. Jessica De Laurentiis is one of them. I've done a whole video on her because she is just so interesting to me. And I think Peter Hastings is up there as well with like one of the worst characters on the show morally. Which is crazy when you've got like murderers and stalkers and blackmailers and whatever. I think the show, along with Jessica's kind of input into the show, doesn't really exist without Peter Hastings. There is one topic which might be triggering to you guys, so when it comes I will put timestamps, blah, 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 which I think we do need to kind of talk about because I don't think it really gets spoken about as it should. Let's start, everyone. The main kind of thing about Peter Hastings is that if Peter Hastings doesn't exist, Spencer Hastings doesn't get born and she doesn't exist. And Spencer is such a key character on the show kind of when Allison comes back, and I think that's when her story really kind of starts to become the forefront of the show. And ultimately at the end of the show, oh my god, I've just realised how bad the glare is going to be on my glasses. Spencer is the main character on the show. And ultimately, at the end of the show, she kind of becomes... The whole show revolves around her, and things happen because of kind of her existence on the show. Like, Alex Drake is literally her twin. And Alex Drake kind of fits into... She's Mary's daughter. Then there's the whole thing with, like, involving Jessica and Allison. It kind of involves so many main plots of the show, whilst also not, which is very weird, but there's layers behind Spencer's existence on the show, and she's very important on the show. And sorry, I'm losing my voice. Yeah, without Peter Hastings, obviously, Spencer does not exist. Spencer's also a big character when it comes to solving things on the show. Obviously, she didn't solve the Mona is A, but like she kind of did, and that was like the whole reveal. And she's very smart. She's very kind of like putting things together because like the other girls are just not. So also without Spencer, a lot of things would have went kind of I don't know if the girls would have actually survived without her, I'll be honest, because I don't really think the other girls have the capability to really dig deep and solve things kind of like how Spencer would in that situation. So she's very key in kind of their survival, I feel. Then when you think about Alex not being born, you think about Cece doesn't meet her, so Cece kind of doesn't get pulled into the game even further. Archer doesn't meet her, Ren doesn't meet her. There's so much behind Alex not existing too, because Ren would probably still be alive. He might even be A if that's like something that carries on in the Pretty Little Liars universe. The whole Archer kidnapping Allison stuff too, very, very key in that as well. And it's kind of like all of these things just would not have happened if Alex just didn't exist. And obviously, Alex and Spencer are twins. So if Peter Hastings didn't sleep with Mary, then this whole thing wouldn't exist. However, this is when we're going to talk about the important matter in the room. So I will put a little timestamp on here if you would like to skip, because it is talking about SA. I think it's very important to acknowledge that Peter Hastings didn't sleep with Mary willingly. He thought it was Jessica. So he was having an affair, however, not with Mary. And Mary obviously tricked Peter into sleeping with him. And I think this is very overlooked on the show and something that isn't spoken about as it should be, because Peter Hastings didn't really have knowledge of what was really going on there. Yeah, it's heavy, and it's a heavy thing to think about, and yeah, I just don't think it gets as much focus as it needs to. I think there's an issue on the show in general regarding sexual assault against men, because I think the Toby and Jenna stuff too got forgotten quite quickly and wasn't something that is focused on so much. And we focus so much on Arya and Ezra's situation, as we should, and I think that same energy should get passed down to other characters on the show as well. So it is important to acknowledge that, you know, Peter Hastings didn't have any part in that. But yeah, I also think Peter Hastings as a parent on the show is kind of important and kind of builds up a lot of the competitiveness in Pretty Little Liars. Peter Hastings raised his family in a way that was very, like, battling each other. Do you know what I mean? And just very, like, they wanted to be better than one another. And there was a really sad situation, actually, when Veronica found a lump on her body and she didn't want to go and get it checked out because her family are built up to be so perfect that she didn't want to be imperfect. And that was just so sad to hear. I think really shows the importance of Peter Hastings' presence as a man on the show. His ultimate kind of like, be perfect, be perfect, be perfect. Because I think that's ultimately what crumbles the family, because like they aren't perfect and he's not perfect either. There's so many secrets that he kept as well. Obviously too, Jason De Laurentiis would not have existed. Jason is also his son. This man has so many children, it's crazy. Peter Hastings was having an affair with Jessica, which is crazy actually, the amount of I'm just thinking the amount of children he has. And he was an awful father to Jason. Jason really kind of got the blame for the affair, in my opinion. And the way that he was treated was so unfair and so just, just not right at all. So I felt really bad for Jason the entire time. So Jason wouldn't have existed, and therefore we don't know if like the NAT club would have existed, and just things in general like that. There's such a butterfly effect with Peter Hastings in terms of if he didn't exist, or if he would have literally kept it in his pants, then so many of these waves of like things happening would not have happened. Like, plain and simple, absolutely would not have happened. I think it's interesting that obviously if Alex didn't exist, AD would have been someone different. And I really would have been interested to see if we didn't have this whole Spencer thing, what would have been the story there? Because they must have planned something. And if Alex didn't exist, she didn't have that relation to Cece, which is where kind of the game was like learnt from and things like that. I'm really interested in terms of like, who would AD have been if the Spencer route wasn't there? I'm really interested in that. Things also go back to the night that Addison went missing too. If Spencer didn't exist, they wouldn't have had that argument. And then also, Melissa would not have buried Bethany alive. So Bethany might have still been alive in this whole thing. So everything really goes back to the start, actually. Like, if Peter Hastings did not exist, so much of this show and the plot points of the show would not have existed. Like, at all. Even Toby's character. Toby's character really developed with Spencer's character on the show. That wouldn't have happened. I just really don't like Peter Hastings. I won't lie to you. I just think he's a very cruel man. Like, the way he brings up his family, the way he treats his family, is just such a bad way to put things, to view things, to bring your children up in. I work in a school, so I'm surrounded by lots of different vulnerable home stories and things like that. And it's very much a case of like, this is not how a child's environment should be for growing up. Obviously, like, they're very rich and blah blah blah, but ultimately kids need a positive environment to grow up in. And the way Peter Hastings was with his children was so bad, like so bad. And I just really, really despise this man, I will be honest. But it's just crazy, the butterfly effect of, if he didn't exist or he actually was a good man, so many of these other things wouldn't have happened. I just think it's crazy because it's like big points on the show. It's like big plot points. Like we literally don't have an A that exists. Spencer's whole storyline with Alex, Cece being related to those guys, Jason doesn't exist. So many big plot points. Like, Spencer is literally not in this friendship group anymore. She's not one of the liars. She's not helping these girls. I just think that blows my mind. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I'm very sorry it's a short one, but like I said, I'm very sick. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I would love to hear your opinion down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.